Baba, first question. Would you comment on the phrase, it's not the mind that knows, but because of the mind we know? Two things there. It's not the mind that knows, but because of the mind we know.
Yeah. So it is we, when we know, we call it as the mind. It is the same I. The mind itself is quiet because it is combination of consciousness and energy. So that's how things happen. Mind knowing means the mind imagines and knows what it imagines. But when the I come to know, it is becoming aware of the truth, not of any imagination, not of any definition, not of any other terminologies, not even the I.
Well, Baba, normally, at least I think of the mind as everything that's presented in the field of consciousness. It could be ideas, images, memories, desires, but they're all things outside. I'm witnessing those, or I'm someone's watching those things that are being projected in consciousness, and so they seem like they kind of hide. We tend to get identified with those things that are we're imagining in our mind, or that are ideas and thoughts and everything that's arising in our mind. Our consciousness tends to get identified with that, and we become unaware of ourself. But as we meditate, we quiet the mind, and basically the whole idea is to put the attention, to quiet the mind and have the attention go back on the consciousness instead of being on all the objects of consciousness, everything in the mind. But so you've said when consciousness is having, when things are appearing in consciousness, when the waves are appearing on the ocean, that's mind. And when the ocean's silent, that's just pure consciousness. But
Yeah.
um, but is it the mind doesn't seem to know itself. It seems consciousness knows is watch. It seems like the
Yeah.
mind, especially when you start to experience how you might have experiences where you're just kind of witnessing everything happening. It's all happening automatically. It's all just projection. You're not involved. You're just watching it.
That's because mind is not quiet. It is involved into its own imaginations. Means it is attention is on its own imaginations. So thus it is aware of what it is imagining. It is not aware of itself. And hardly anybody bothers what the mind itself is. We all tend to think that mind means the thoughts and visions that are coming. Oh, this is the mind. But what is that this? Nobody would bother much. So that is what is pure consciousness and energy. This pure consciousness is when mind becomes totally quiet, means giving up all its thoughts and visions, everything, neither this or that, good or bad, nothing. Everything, it is totally silent. Then it is aware of itself. That is pure consciousness. The clue that for teaching sake we use the terminology pure consciousness.
Well, one seems permanent and one seems temporary. Like thoughts come and go, desires come and go, aspirations, ideas of what we think truth is. But
Yeah,
the
they are
one,
all impermanent. Just like the universe also is impermanent, but the space is permanent. So, in the same way, whatever thoughts and visions come in the mind, any form, any manifestations, anything, they are all impermanent finally. The permanent is that itself, pure consciousness itself. is the permanent. It doesn't disappear. That's why we try to tell while teaching, when you practice meditation, slowly as you are able to get rid of thoughts and visions, and the mind is becoming silent, that means mind is regaining its original form of pure consciousness, then you will always experience the consciousness of existence, which will not disappear, because it is not an imagined thought, it is not an impermanent entity, it is the eternal permanent entity, and it is a reality, it is not an imagined appearance. So that's why the consciousness of existence is always there.
So, yes, so that goes back to my original question. That so the consciousness seems like the permanent thing, and anything in the mind seems like the impermanent thing.
Yes. Yeah.
But you there is a distinction, I believe, between just consciousness and consciousness of existence, or pure consciousness, I should say, and consciousness. Like when there's an ego, even if that sense of I is there, that's mind is creating that sense of I. But when you go beyond the sense of I, when the mind becomes completely silent, then
Yeah, that is how you see, before the merger of this I-ness also, then you experience an eternal entity of the self. But when this also merges, the I also disappears. Consciousness of existence dissolves into the consciousness. Then there is neither consciousness of existence nor consciousness, because there is nobody to identify. It is only the single entity, single self exists. When single self exists, it doesn't identify anything about itself or anything else. It is only the permanence is in the existence and not in the identity. So that's how that identity also merges. The I also disappears or dissolves. Only one self simply exists.
and is that when what you refer to the consciousness of eternal existence, or is that point just before that where it knows its eternal existence?
Only when in the consciousness of existence you use a terminology of consciousness for sake of understanding, that is the nearest next final terminology. But once this consciousness of existence also dissolves, then consciousness also dissolves, because the one who is identifying it as consciousness, when that itself has dissolved, then the identity of consciousness also dissolves. But it is there, but not with any identity. It is beyond any attributions.
Yeah, so that's the tendency is to have like consciousness meaning knowingness. There's some a knower, an I amness, but then and then you have always used the term pure consciousness, which I guess would be with no knower.
Yeah, only I have tried to tell for sake of understanding, consciousness means wherever you apply yourself, you become aware of that. Now, here, if you apply yourself to your imaginations, then you become aware of that imagination. Then you stop applying yourself onto the imagination, then you gain the awareness of your real self. Then, when that also dissolves, then everything, the awareness also, it merges actually. It doesn't disappear anywhere else. It simply merges into the self. Only when the self exists, it doesn't identify anything because it is totally quiet in silence. That is what is known as Mahasamadhi.
So that it becomes infinite.
Infinite, simply
Yeah,
infinite.
It doesn't disappear, it becomes
Might
infinite.
be a slight bewilderment for anybody listening. You just sake of understanding, slowly as the I also disappears, consciousness also dissolves, would have become, you are that space, simply as the space you exist. But for now, space appears to be a void with a definition. But actually, there is no definition for space. Its appearance is like that. You can, whichever way you imagine, it would appear to you as a zero, as an absolute. Absolute because it is all pervaded. It is zero because nothing appears to be there actually.
So, Bubba, when you become infinite, you can't have any boundaries. You're beyond all boundaries, unbounded.
Yes, unbounded. There is no boundary because there is no definition.
Mm. So, Baba, is consciousness in every atom of creation? Does every living being have a sense of that I amness or beingness or existing?
In some way or other, depending on the brain that is in the body, whether developed or underdeveloped or in animals, whatever medical terms might recognize in whichever way. So, depending on that only, that ness also comes up. If it is not there, nothing comes. So, that's what it is. So, that is how, but the consciousness is there because it is all pervaded.
So, is matter just solidified consciousness?
Yes.
Well,
Just like within the mind, a matter appears, so that is only a projected appearance, is what the matter that is in the mind.
Baba, Victoria and I were watching this series on the creation of the universe. And they say the universe is what, 13.5 billion years old or something, but that it started, with, some energy fields and then subatomic particles and atoms and molecules. And then the molecules, at some point they became the elements, the five elements. And then the five elements had to create some kind of body, and then in order for there to be a mind, there had to be a body, and then in order for the I am to be there, there had to be a mind, and to know your existence, somebody has to know the existence. But it started out, that was kind of we're doing the reverse, kind of going back to the one, but it just showed that the picture in your mind is that over 13.5 billion years, the Big Bang, or that's even, they question even if the Big Bang is the right theory, but that at some point, those forms, subatomic particles had to form into elements, and those had to form into a body in order to have a mind, in order for consciousness to be expressed in this human body. And then anyway,
You see, what is important is going back means, while going back, we are totally assured that our existence is eternal. We are not going to become extinct. This is one thing. So, another thing, when the purest Parabrahman, if an imagination had occurred, if it had stopped to the level of Brahma, Vishnu, and Maheshwara, with that pure consciousness awareness about the self and remaining in the self without any identification, then the problem wouldn't have occurred. But further, it went on further. It became, the consciousness went on splitting and getting diluted. It became like angelus things and the demons and so on, creatures, humans, animals, everything it happened. So it got involved into a bondage because of imagination. So that is what is known as in Indian language as Bhava Sagara, Bhava Bandhana. Bandhana means bondage. Sagara is ocean. Bhava is the imagination, imagined feelings. That imagination is the bhava. Because of the bhava, that bhava occurs, and thus you get carried away. So, coming after a long way, when you have totally forgotten, you are miserable. In this world, nobody can be 24 hours, 12 months happy at all times. The peace is not there like that. If that peace is there, that means it is in the self. Only when the mind is quiet, it enjoys the peace. Otherwise, it is not peaceful. If it is into imagination, it is not to be recognized as peaceful. It is not peaceful, it is imagining. Even if it is imagining good or pleasant thing, it is still imagining, it is not really peaceful.
It can be happy or horrified.
Horrified, anything. But both are simply it is imagining. That's why temporarily it appears to be there. But it's actually not happy. It has lost its happiness because it is into imaginations. So simply going back, it has to stop. Now means everybody understand it is enough of imaginations, because if one can realize these imaginations is not going to give a permanent happiness. That's what occurred to me at a childhood. 24 hours, 12 months, if it is not there, that is not the real happiness. Means it's impermanent. For some time it is there. For 1 hour you are happy and the next hour you are unhappy. So that doesn't sound any enjoyable thing. It's not. It should be there at all times. So that's when you want to go back now. Enough. Some problem has happened. Either something is wrong in me, something is wrong in this imagination, something is wrong in this world. So it's time for us to go back. It's enough, Shaolin, let's go home. Time, finally. So
So,
that's what has to happen.
so Baba, through wrong Maya kind of ignorance or wrong understanding, the consciousness has gotten involved in the imaginations and forgotten itself. Would you say that's correct?
Yes, yes.
But
That is how it is involved into illusion and ignorance. All these terms have been used.
but we have to use the same mind and and to in Maya to find our way back home too. You know, to find to
Yes,
at some point we decide that, like you said, you've had enough, or you realize that it's in vain to just keep going like that, doing the same thing over and over and having the same results. That it's in vain, and
yeah.
you got to do something about it. And what you're saying the solution is silence your mind, and you'll find what you're looking for. You'll find the golden egg.
So that's what two things are there. One is if you can understand this futility of this imagination and the imagined universe, then you try to become silent. Otherwise, if still you think that something is useful, I want to be in the world, so then at least if you have to imagine all the time, imagine such a thing which can give you happiness. That's what the imagination of divinity, God. Because God is beyond the matter. So if you can imagine at least about God, oh, this is also God, this is also God, everywhere it is God, all pervaded is God. God is in everything, as everything, He is everything, like this. You try to imagine, that is the Bhakti Marga, the devotional path. If some people are still into, as long as you want to imagine, at least imagine about the Atman, as Vasistha tells. You want to imagine at all, you cannot keep quiet. At least try to imagine about God. Imagine about divinity. Somebody you imagine as God. You imagine your Guru, anything. So that will also be helpful, because slowly your mind rises to a higher level. Means its imagination quality is becoming higher. It's going to a higher level. See, corrupted mind always imagining hatred and anger, want to kill somebody, want to destroy somebody, want to rob somebody, want to pickpocket somebody. These are all low quality imaginations. It gives pain to the mind. Mind becomes corrupted. You become corrupted. But instead, you imagine God. You imagine about divinity. Oh, divine is all pervaded. Divine's this form is so beautiful. Divine's name is so beautiful. That is Bhakti Marga. So
Baba,
your imagination is going to a higher level. Yeah, you can ask.
so this is perfect because this week we're preparing for my mom's celebration of life. And so my mom was Catholic, so I had to read a lot of scriptures to kind of understand what to say at the church. And they're talking about God. And then I went into this whole spinning thing of, well, what is God? God doesn't exist. And I've been so in the non-dualism that the self that it's like, then I was like, well, what is God? And so I came to a different understanding. I went through this process, but I want to know what is God? What is God?
You see, ultimate truth of self that we are talking, that you get the clue, right? When mind merges into the self, when the I-ness also goes, consciousness of existence disappears, only pure consciousness remains. All these things we have been discussing. That pure consciousness is what is recognized as divinity. I have since long ago, I have started using divinity word, because if we try to use word God, for people's imagination, a personality appears. But it is not a personality, it is a supreme consciousness. For that, I have given the clue. You see, your mind is infinite. It is combination of consciousness energy. Nobody can see it in the naked eyes. So, if this mind is droplet, its ultimate truth is what is recognized as divinity. So now, as I was trying to explain, if at all you need to imagine about God. Though it is impossible to imagine God as it is. Just like you cannot imagine how long and how wide the space is, impossible, it is boundless. That's how God also, divinity also. You cannot simply imagine. Simply to raise the quality of your imagination, devotional path is start that God exists. God exists means not as a personality anywhere in the space. The space itself is the divinity.
But is there that ability to pray to the divine and be blessed by that divine?
Yes, now why pray to that divine? Highest prayer is taught. If you adopt simply the remembrance of that divinity without any particular prayer, what you want, then what happens? All your unhappiness and sins means whatever mistakes the mind had done, because of which it had come out of divinity, will be vanished once for all. You will merge with that divinity. Suppose now you are talking of some prayers for your mother or anything. Considering that mother also, with a better understanding, that also is a soul like you, not with the physical appearance, physical body. You pray to the divine, you take that soul back to you for a permanent, restful peace, and thus bless me also not to be reborn again. That can be the highest prayer, recognizing the divinity or God.
So, Baba, this is an incredible session today. What came to me was that, the whole crescendo of discrimination is superimposition. You have the I thought, and then I'm superimposing this whole world in my imagination onto reality. And so just the fact that there's 70 people here on this Zoom call that brought you into our life has to be very significant for each one of us, that we want to become self-realized. And so then it really is a matter of removing our doubts that we're worthy of it. Can you share about this?
Yes, you see, you are already blessed to be sitting with me in this Zoom session. Means you had positively pressed a button for your salvation, like this, that you come across a self realized Guru. And then sitting here, your imagination is very highest that Baba is a self realized soul. Otherwise, anybody can be simply thinking, oh, he's simply an old man with a white beard talking some nonsense. So to them, only that will be visible. A self-realized soul or the divinity will not be visible. So that's what we are trying to teach. If at all you have to imagine the highest. That is what is faith and devotion, which can work for wonders for you. It can lead you to salvation finally. It is your faith what is important than what I am as a personality. So that's what the incredible things we try to teach always. Even if you have read in Jesus' life, many times when people said that you blessed us, you graced upon us, then you saved us. But Jesus used to say, it is your faith which saved you.
Hey everyone, good morning, Babaji.
Blessing.
So I have a question. Recently, someone had asked this question. He asked, does my illusion belong only to me, or is the universe one shared illusion experienced differently by each of us? And you stated, by practice of meditation, first you need to overcome the illusion that there is a me illusion, a you illusion, or other illusion. There's no such thing as you, me, or other. There's only one illusion. End quote. I want to recap and go back to the statement when Babaji said there's only one illusion. What does Babaji mean there's only one illusion when you say there's no such thing as me, you, and other, but at the same time, in the same sentence, you say that there's only one illusion? What do you mean by this
Now,
one illusion?
pay attention, total attention what I'm going to say. When you dream, it is you who watch your dream. Or inside the dream, many characters are there, many stories are there. And you experience yourself in all those characters. It cannot be different because it is your mind which is experiencing. That is how, and you are watching also. So you watching one single illusion which has split into many appearances, giving you an illusion that so many people are having illusions. But actually, there are no so many people, so there are no so many illusions. Only one illusion is there. Once you get rid of that one illusion, all other illusions also disappear. Like in India, in some of the temples, to give this a clue of explanation, two mirrors are kept, one in front of the other. When you watch into the mirror, hundreds of mirrors will be visible. Whereas in reality, only two mirrors are there, one to the other. One is watching, another is imagining. But both are also same. If skillfully, if one mirror is removed, then all the hundreds of mirrors that appear inside the mirror, they also get removed. So that is how it is only one single mirror which is creating all such illusions. Here, that is the amazing, wondrous of the things, illusion that has happened. That's how we tell it is only single illusion, one single soul getting involved into that illusion. It is you. As soon as you are able to get rid of that illusion by meditation, you will see that all illusions disappearing. Nobody has any illusion at all. It is divinity only, all pervaded.
So when you say to get rid of that illusion, you mean the person that's currently talking right now, like once this illusion dissolves, everyone else goes?
Yes, not that doesn't mean that you have to end the body, not through that. First, you have to get rid of the illusion that is in your mind through the practice of meditation. Then you will reach a higher consciousness, and this body will go on its own. Before, while this body is alive, also, you will be able to experience that one illusion. All the universe disappearance you can experience when you reach a higher consciousness through a deep meditation.
Okay, you said to get rid of the illusion that's in my mind. What is the illusion that's in my mind?
The imagination. Mind is chatterbox. Mind is imagining. That's why mind is watching. All the thoughts and visions are there in the mind. That is the illusion. So if you just watch the technique that we teach of meditation, then you can get rid of all those imaginations. Imaginations means illusions. They will all dissolve. Pure consciousness can be experienced.
Okay.
Bless you.
Oh, hi, Baba. It's Chris. Hi, nice to see you. On
Nice.
social media this week, you talked about don't let yourself get affected by the world. You said that this is a detachment, that you're always smiling, and you'd always say no problem. So my question is, how do I get to that state? Just by sitting, just by trusting and having faith?
Having faith means a firm conviction comes. Whatever I am experiencing is first simply due to my own imagination. Whether a pain, whether an unhappiness, whether a good, whether happiness, anything is because my mind is imagining. That firm conviction. This can be experienced only in the meditation. As the thoughts and visions dissolve in the mind, then mind becomes purified. Then you will slowly understand this universe also is only an appearance. It is only a make-believe movie. It will be all right. Everything is all right. Only I had created, so I have to temporarily experience, and it will be all right one day.
The other thing that was exciting, you're talking about using the name of God. Sometimes in meditation, if I get stuck, I'll just find myself saying the words out loud, even God, and I'll say it again, God, and I find that my mind just settles down when I say that in the middle of meditation. So it's great to hear you say that and affirm that for me.
Good. That's what the technique. That will be helpful.
Thank you.
Hello, Baba.
Family.
This is a follow-up to Augusta's questions about consciousness, and I'm so glad he went there because I've kind of been getting through this. So I wrote it down because it's kind of hard to get out. So you had said the texture and substrate of pure consciousness is like the field of potential where thought comes into creation, more or less. Yeah.
Yeah.
So is it correct to say that when we can still the mind, we like tap into that inherent potential or energy before it turns into something of existence? And which side are we on? Are we, when the mind is gone, we're created. So are we in the creation, or are we able to just be in the field, or is it connected?
No. When the mind is gone means it has not gone anywhere. First thing, that language is important.
Yeah.
It is there. It has regained the form of pure consciousness. So that means it is not in the imagined field. It is in itself.
So we're in.
That is what is recognized as soul, Atman, like this. So you are in the real self.
So I just, because of the limitation of words, we are in the potential. When the mind is still, we're in the potential of all of creation and not in the creation itself.
Yes.
Wow. And I guess that kind of negates the second part of this, because I feel like creativity, when people are engaged in creativity, we go very much into that place of creation where we're using that, pulling out of the field. So when we're not thinking and just working on solving problems or art or music or whatever, we're kind of like at that juncture of where that potential comes into form. Is that why people love creativity and go back to creativity and use that sometimes?
You see, now important, mind going into creativity itself is not a problem. But if you lose yourself into that creativity, then you are likely to become miserable. That's what the alertness shows.
But let's just not say we're creating our lives and our world, but just creating a piece of art or a piece of music or something like that.
Anything you create, don't get carried away with that created thing.
Got it.
You are the one
Turn it
who have
into
created,
something else.
and you have an amazing potential. You don't have to be becoming that created thing, which is a small microspec thing.
So I'll finish up, but so I'm trying to change things in my life, right? That have been, like we said, doing the same thing over and again, and it's not working. So the best way to change those things is to come back to that pure point of stillness and create from there to manifest a better way to exist in this world.
Yeah, that's why you have become split into millions and millions and millions. So now you gather yourself, become single pointed. Then you are in a better position to be creative.
Thank you so much, Baba. I think this completely just changed my life. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Oh, wonderful.
Namaskar, Babaji. Nice to see you again. My question was about samadhi. You said when the awareness also dissolves, then you're in mahasamadhi. So is there a difference between samadhi and mahasamadhi?
While the body is alive, actually it can be called a nirvikalpa samadhi. Mahasamadhi happens when the body is dropped for a yogi, because there are no desires. He is totally merged into the self as a Jivan Mukta. So when the body is dropped, it becomes one with the divinity that is all pervaded, which is in Mahasamadhi, recognized with this terminology. So that is what is known as Mahasamadhi. When a yogi drops the physical body, he would become one with the Mahasamadhi.
And what is samadhi then?
Samadhi is achieving stillness of the mind.
Okay.
Some teachers have explained differently because samadhi can be a common word. So stillness. Now some people tell of savikalpa samadhi. If it is into one type of imagination and is still over there, that is like a savikalpa. There is some vikalpa is there. Savikalpa samadhi, but it is single pointed. Then it has to go to nirvikalpa, when there is no vikalpa at all, no iota of any imagination, not even the eye. Then the nirvikalpa samadhi happens. That is the final self-realization that is recognized.
Is that what Ramakrishna Paramahamsa had? Savikalpa samadhi?
Yes.
In the
Yeah.
beginning?
Nirvikalpa samadhi. First, he used to have the Savikalpa samadhi. The Mother Kali, he started as a devotee of Mother Kali, but he did great tapas also. So that was when Totapuri came, wanted to initiate him into Nirvikalpa samadhi. He always used to tell, I am able to withdraw senses, my mind from all sensory things, but Mother Kali is there, doesn't disappear. Then he gets annoyed and pierces his forehead with a piece of glass. How come you are unable to do that one? Stop, your Mother Kali is dead. I have killed her. Then he goes to Nirvikalp Samadhi. Several days he remained like that.
I have another question. When you said, my question was, does meditation require effort or is it effortless?
It requires effort in the beginning. So until you press the accelerator, switch on the engine, press the accelerator, that effort is necessary. Then the vehicle will move automatically. In the same way, first you need to get rid of thoughts. For that, you have to practice watching, that effort to just watch. That's what your effort to practice remaining quiet. Once that happens, then effortlessly it will remain quiet.
So I found that to come to that point of no thoughts, sometimes it takes me a long time to ignore the imaginations and thoughts. And sometimes it is short, but I'm still not, taken off flight. I'm still on the runway, so to speak.
Yeah, it happens. It's like a dual battle. Sometimes mind feels very inspired, motivated, and quickly comes into effect. Sometimes it delays. If it has any doubts, if it's unable to feel inspired, somewhere something. So that's what happens. This is like a dual battle. Up and down, keeps happening. So it will come down. Finally, it will feel inspired and it become quiet.
So just ignore and continue.
Ignore and continue.
Okay, thank you.
Namaste, Babaji. So please solve this mystery for me. What is the trigger or mechanism that makes the last thought the last thought? And this is like a multiple choice question. Is it the leap of faith by the aspirant that makes the last thought the last thought? Is it divine grace? Is it the recognition in the futility of thinking to bring permanent happiness? What makes the last thought or the last imagination?
All this combined work, detachment, your firm conviction that except the self, everything else is illusion, does not exist. And then faith, that is the right thing. Faith, the divine master is there. What he taught you is the right thing. There is no question of any doubt, no iota of doubt. And have faith that the grace will descend definitely. Wait for that. It will happen. So all these three combined, it will take you there. So finally, your ability to remain quiet with all the patience. So when you have all these three, detachment and the faith that the grace will descend and faith in yourself that you have to remain quiet. That is all you have to do. And you go on remaining quiet, then it happens.
But there's that moment when the last thought comes and done. No more thoughts, no more imaginations, extinguished. It just happens naturally by applying these three principles that you've just outlined.
And you will not know about that last thought. Something like that. You are trying to sleep. You think, I need to sleep. Finally, when the sleep comes, when was that last thought? You will not know. You would have gone to sleep. Samadhi is something like that.
That's a good answer.
You cannot make out. Fine. Good question. Yes, next.
Pranams, Babaji.
Yeah.
I have a question about happiness. You speak about happiness. Sometimes you use the word in different ways, it seems to me. Sometimes you speak about happiness and unhappiness and how we can get caught up in that. And other times you speak about happiness and enjoyment as being, I think, the nature of the self. I remember you saying that you don't know if you're happy or unhappy, you know that you're free. And in my own meditation, sometimes I'll feel very happy. I would describe it that way. And other times, it's like this sort of like a darkness or a void, sort of an unsettling feeling. And I'm assuming there's must be some thoughts I'm having there that I'm unaware of. But this prompts me to ask the question and to ask for some clarity.
Yeah. This is a very tricky thing, thin edge of difference. You need to pay attention. When I talk of happiness and unhappiness, mean if you depend for your happiness on some external thing other than you yourself, then both follows. Happiness is there, then unhappiness also follows, because except the self, the rest is all impermanent. It is there and it may disappear. It is there, it may be lost. It is there and it may go away. Anything can happen. So thus, an unhappiness also follows because you are depending on that thing. Gradually, with the practice of meditation, you start depending on anything, even to the extent you don't depend on what is happening in the meditation. If good thought comes, bad thought comes, you remain unaffected with both of them. Don't become happy if a good thought comes. If some good visions come and some bad visions comes, you become unhappy. So then also you are depending on some external thing other than you yourself. So gradually with the meditation, watch, 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 just watch. That's what we insist. Just watch. If you are just watching, you give up depending on any other thing other than you yourself. When you are simply watching, unknown to you, you settle down into yourself. That is not a duality, that is the single entity. Then permanent happiness is always there because you do not depend on anything else for your happiness. You are there. When you don't need anything, you have the real happiness. You can think, all of you sitting here can think again. As long as you need something, that will make you a slave for unhappiness and craving. Something happens, it can make you fearful, it can make you unhappiness, it can make you painful, etc., etc. Once we stop depending, then nothing, no power can bend you to your knees. You can hold your head high and just be happy all the time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Babaji.
Baba, related to that, you were probably the first person I heard say this, that supreme peace is beyond bliss. And that was so powerful, left such a huge impression on me. I had experienced blissfulness, and I would define blissfulness as unimaginable happiness, but that wasn't a final state. There wasn't peace in that happiness, in that blissful state. It was blissful. You can become...
Exactly. You see, now, as you go on wanting happiness, finally you rise. You stop depending on happiness also for your happiness. That's when you become peaceful. You don't look for anything to give you anything at all. Then you become peaceful. That peace is composed and settles down from where it will not jump back. Settling down. Blissfulness is not yet settled, but it is jumping and enjoying, excited and enjoying type.
Yeah, in peace, there's all desires are fulfilled. There's nothing more to want.
Composed. It is composed. At peace, simply at peace. Doesn't need anything. That's why it is simply at peace.
Okay, Baba, I think we've used up our time. Thank you so much.
Wonderful. We had a wonderful evening.